You know what's wild? Most women spend years trying to crack the code on what men really want. They read the articles, watch the videos, ask their guy friends. But here's the thing, the answers men give, they're not lies. They're just the surface level stuff. Underneath all that, there are three emotional needs men carry around like secrets. Needs they'll never admit. Not to you, not to their boys, sometimes not even to themselves. And if you don't know what these are, you're basically trying to build a relationship in the dark. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been with a guy who seemed completely into you but then just pulled away for no reason? Or maybe he stayed, but something always felt off, like you were doing everything right, but he still seemed distant? Yeah, that's what happens when these hidden needs go unmet. So why don't men just say what they need? Simple. Vulnerability feels like weakness. And for most guys, weakness feels like relationship death. They've been taught their whole lives that needing anything emotional makes them less of a man, so they bury it. They pretend it doesn't exist. And then they wonder why their relationships feel empty. But you're about to see exactly what's happening under the surface. And once you know this, everything changes. Let's start with the first one, the need to feel admired for who he is, not what he does. Now, I know what you're thinking. Men love compliments about their achievements. And yeah, they do. Tell a guy he crushed that presentation or fixed the sink like a pro, and he'll feel good. For about 5 minutes. But here's what most people miss. When you only praise what he does, he starts to feel like a performing monkey, like his value is tied to output. And deep down, he's wondering, if I stop achieving, will you stop caring? What he actually craves is someone who sees him, the version of him that exists when he's not trying to impress anyone. The guy who makes dumb jokes at 2 in the morning. The one who gets weirdly passionate about his Spotify playlists. The him that just exists, not the him that performs. That's the difference between being valued and being seen. And men are starving for the second one. Think about it. When was the last time you complimented a guy on something that had nothing to do with what he accomplished? Not his job, not his muscles, not how he handled a situation. Just him, his humor, his presence, the way he thinks. Most women never do this, and most men never ask for it. But the absence of it creates this quiet ache that never really goes away. Here's the second need, and this one's gonna surprise you. Men need to feel emotionally safe enough to not have all the answers. I know, that sounds backwards. We're told men want to be the problem solvers, the fixers, the ones with the plan. And sure, that's part of the story, but it's not the whole thing. Because here's what actually happens in a guy's head when he doesn't know what to do. Panic, not the dramatic kind, the silent kind, the kind where he's thinking, if I admit I don't know, will she lose respect for me? Will she think I'm weak? Will she start looking at me differently? So he fakes it. He pretends he's got it handled. He makes a decision even when he's unsure, just to avoid looking lost. And then he lives with the weight of that performance. What he really wants is a partner who makes it okay to say, I don't know. A person who doesn't treat uncertainty like failure. Someone who doesn't panic when he's not in control mode. Because here's the truth. Confidence isn't about always having answers. It's about being okay when you don't. And most men never experience that kind of safety in a relationship. They're too busy pretending. And when you create space for him to drop that act, something shifts. He stops performing strength and starts actually feeling it. Because real strength isn't pretending. It's being honest about where you are and still moving forward. But here's the tricky part. You can't just tell a guy, hey, you can be uncertain with me. That doesn't work because vulnerability doesn't respond to permission. It responds to proof. He needs to test it. He'll say something small, something uncertain, and he'll watch how you react. If you freak out or try to fix him or subtly imply he should have it together, he'll never go deeper. But if you stay calm and just listen, if you don't make his uncertainty a problem to solve, he'll start to trust you with the real stuff. That's when intimacy actually begins. All right, third one, this is the big one. The one that explains almost every confusing thing men do in relationships. Men need to feel wanted, not needed. And yes, there's a massive difference. When a man feels needed, he feels useful. When he feels wanted, he feels desired. And desire is what keeps a relationship alive. Here's how this plays out. A lot of women, without realizing it, start treating their partner like a solution. He's the guy who handles the bills, fixes the car, makes decisions, provides stability, and all of that is fine, until it becomes the only reason he feels valuable. Because now he's not a person, he's a function, and functions are replaceable. What he's actually craving is to feel like you choose him even if he didn't do anything for you. That you want him around not because he's useful, but because he's him. That your attraction isn't conditional on his productivity. Think about the early stages of a relationship, back when you couldn't wait to see him, when just being near him felt electric, when you wanted him, not because he solved problems, but because something about him pulled you in. That's the feeling men are chasing. And most relationships lose it the second things get comfortable, because comfort turns desire into dependency, and dependency kills attraction. So, how do you avoid this? You keep choosing him even when you don't need him. You initiate, you show interest, you make it clear that you're not with him out of necessity or convenience, but because you actively want to be. And here's the thing, this doesn't mean you have to perform desire you don't feel. It just means you have to stay aware of how easy it is to let a relationship become transactional, where he does things and you appreciate things, and somewhere along the way, the actual connection disappears. Men can feel when they've become a utility, and when that happens, they either shut down emotionally or they leave, sometimes both. So those are the three: the need to be seen beyond achievement, the need to be uncertain without judgment, the need to be wanted, not just needed. And here's why this matters so much. These aren't bonus features. They're not nice to haves. They're the foundation of emotional intimacy. And without them, you can have a relationship that looks fine on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. The crazy part? Most men don't even realize this is what they're missing. They just know something feels off. They feel disconnected, restless, like they're playing a role instead of being themselves. And most women don't realize they have the power to change this. They think men are just emotionally unavailable or don't care about connection. But that's not true. Men care. They just don't know how to ask for what they need. And they're terrified of what might happen if they do. So if you've ever felt like the men you date are holding back, or like there's a wall you can't get through, this is probably why. It's not that they don't want closeness. It's that they don't feel safe enough to let you in. But now you know what's really going on. And that gives you a choice. You can keep doing what everyone else does, focusing on surface level attraction and compatibility. Or you can go deeper. You can create the kind of relationship where a man feels safe enough to show up as himself. And when that happens, everything changes. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been in a relationship where you could feel one of these needs going unmet? Maybe you sensed it but didn't have the language for it. Drop your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear what you've noticed. And if this helped you see relationships differently, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video, because we're just getting started.